Okay.
weird. Well, you're gonna have the VOD from Twitch. You
Yeah,
can
I'll
put it
have
up
the
on
pod
YouTube.
from Twitch and put it up that way. So, all right. It looks like whatever I pushed is making it go live on YouTube.
We would be honored if you would join us.
There it is.
If you would join us.
Okay.
I don't know what happened. I refreshed it and there was so go live was grayed out at the top, and I refreshed it and go live was white at the top. So I pushed it and I was hoping everything wasn't going to crash. and it ended up working. So, hey, sorry about that, guys. You've missed a little bit, but I'm going to record it and put it up tomorrow. Okay, guys? So
Yeah, I'm catching up on Twitch chat. I see Meek Dill's comments.
yeah.
It did work yesterday with your unsub gear, the whole melting and buying it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not a real solution, though. That's just working around. Hey, Bendy.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's not a real solution. It helps, but it's not a real thing. So to recap to the YouTube people that missed it, we think murder hoboing is going to go up more than likely. People that have never PvP'd might start to take interest in PvPing, and bunkers and distribution centers could end up taking a hit in how often people are doing it. So yeah, yeah, thanks, Canop. I'm sorry for my amateurness. I apologize. It was a fail between OBS and YouTube. I was wondering what was going on. But anyways, so next subject. We know that every time there's like Jump Town or some other PvP centric event, people go out of their way to buy and sell rail guns and grenade launchers and rocket launchers,
fresh meat,
all that other fun stuff. Do you think that what little player economy we have right now is going to get flushed because you just need one now? Really?
I don't think it's going to get completely flushed. It'd be like when there's too much in the toilet and you kind of got to break it up over multiples. I think that's what's going to happen. Not to be too graphic, I'm sorry, but
Courtesy flushes. Poke it with
yeah,
a stick.
yeah,
a
you're
few
going to be like,
times.
whoa, like in the neighboring stall. Hey, dude, that's Taco Bell. Do you mind doing a courtesy? So I think the ones that are making a kill and selling rail guns for 100,000 each, maybe they'll up their price, but to try to balance what they see as supply and demand, because you're right, demand's going to plummet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of it was, here, meet me at X location, and there'll be a box. Transfer the money. We'll give you the box, and yeah. So, kind of a gameplay aspect, not so much game loop or how we play the game, but well, I guess it is kind of how we play the game. Did you see the nerf that they put on Spectrum about the grenade launchers?
No.
So they're going to do less damage. If I remember correctly, you're not going to get put on your ass when it goes off next to you. And even if you're wearing light armor, it's still going to take approximately 3 hits from the grenade launcher to put you down. So, what? Yes. To me, it feels like they did not think about any of this until content creators like Morphologist, Salty Mike, and all the other big guys were like, well, great. Contested zones, PvP areas, it's just going to be grenade launcher meta. And a week later, they're like, oh, crap. We didn't think about that. Nerf it. Do you think that this is another case of them like trying to make short-sightedness, trying to fit 10 pounds of shit into a 5-pound bag, making things fit to how they thought it was going to work, but it's not going to work that way? So I guess 2 questions. Is this short-sightedness on their part? And is this more of, we came up with an idea, we have to stick to it, so now we got to bend the rules for everything else to make it work?
Yes, it's definitely short-sightedness. I think, and we're seeing more and more of this since some of the OG crew have left CIG. I know I keep bringing it up, but it's having more of an impact than I think they even realized. It's like, yes, you're probably saving some money on your payroll, but you're losing some faith with your backers. So you got to look at it as like, do we want to save the money now or do we want to save the money in pledge? But it seems like maybe it's because they're younger, maybe it's because they're not as familiar with the project. They get an idea and they run with it. So it's like when you're brand new, it's like, oh, I've discovered the color purple. I should paint everything purple. And then when you see your room in full lighting and it looks like the grape ape has just like had fun in your bedroom, now you're like, too much purple. So I think they're not thinking past 5 minutes. That short-sightedness is kicking in. It's gonna have an impact. And I think as we stated earlier, I think they're under the impression they're not allowed to admit they made mistakes. But you're going to have to, because let's be honest, you're working on a project you've been working on for more than 10 years. So that statement, that fact right there just proves that you're human and you're learning as you go. So own it. Say, hey, we thought we could do this. This is our ideas. We tried this. This particular mechanic's not working the way we wanted to work. It's clear that you guys in the community have spoken out. Oops, my bad. We're going to roll it back and try something a little different. Please bear with us. I think that would go further than what are you talking about? It's been the plan all along.
Yeah. Look, everybody here knows that I have issues with the game, issues with CIG, issues with the development. I do love Star Citizen, don't get me wrong, and I want it to be a cool game, but like you said, I don't think they have an idea of what they're doing anymore. Like once Todd Pappy left, once I'm trying to remember all their names and I can't off the top of my head, but once a lot of the key individuals left, it seems like it's just up in the air and they don't know what's going on. I would like to go back to, I think it was last spring/summer when the Santoki Eye was supposed to come out. And everybody was going, ooh, new shiny ship. It's going to be here for Alien Week. And then we got a week away from Alien Week, and they were like, sorry, guys, we fucked up. It didn't pass gray box. We really messed this up, and it's not going to make it out for Alien Week. And we ended up waiting, what was it, 2 months or so past Alien Week, and they came out with a video, and they were like, here, we're saying sorry, and we're showing you exactly what failed, where it failed, how it failed, and how we're going to fix it. And for me, as I said, I have a lot of criticisms with how they do things. That was, to me, a way better way of handling it than just saying, oh, we messed up, and then not talking about it again until it's released, or not releasing it and not saying a word. And it seems like they've kind of regressed since then, other than taking away the free fly, which I think was a really good idea. That was the most recent thing. But I think if they were more honest with us, yes, there's going to be people that are upset. But I think if you were legitimately more honest with us that, hey, we made a mistake, or hey, this thing that we were working on, it's not going to work out. Hey, X thing that we've been waiting on for 2 years now, we tried it. We've tried to make it work. It doesn't work. We're sorry. Why can't we go back to, why can't we just be honest, or why can't they be honest with us? I don't see an issue with it. I don't get upset when they are, at least, let me take that back. I may get upset, but at least I appreciate the honesty out of them. So that's my take. That's my take.
Yeah.
Okay. So once again, tier 0, you immediately get all your gear back except for what was in your backpack, right? Polari have taken over the universe, so to speak. Like I see them everywhere now. You know, you have the Carrack, which is, but what I'm saying is we have these two very big ships that are very popular and they have med beds. Do we see another Chaos Squad situation coming up? And for those of you that don't know, Chaos Squad, they took over a Carrack. The guy kept respawning. They kept shooting him. VoIP wasn't working. Global chat was not working the way it was supposed to. And the one guy was having fun. Chaos Squad was having fun, and 100 bodies piled up in the med bay, and it lagged out the server. The guy was able to kill Chaos Squad and get his ship back. But they got a slap on the wrist saying, don't ever do that again or we're going to ban you. Do you foresee another situation like this coming up? And is there any ways to fix it? Because they're going to spawn and immediately have everything they had again.
I think the situation's going to come up again, but I think it will be less publicized. I don't think any group that has been reprimanded by CIG or has seen that and is fearful of a reprimand from CIG is going to do that again. At least not a situation where they think there's even a remote chance it may get reported. I think, well, maybe it's because I'm an older backer, but for me, when I have an interaction with someone in game and they come off like this total nitwit and asshole, and I'm like, what the hell is going on with you? Why are you doing this? Why are you acting like you're an idiot? So I look at their name and I go in there into robertsspaceindustries, citizens, and I look up their profile and I'm like, who is this? It's like, oh, this is an OG backer. They've been around since 2017. So then I'm like, okay, you know the system. You've been playing this game now for 6 years, 7 years. You know this, so you're acting like an idiot because you're just an idiot. You're stupid. It's not that you're uninformed and you're ignorant. You're just an idiot. So that changes the way they interact with that person. So I think maybe your older crews, your Chaos Squad, Blackjack's crew. Blackjack seems very intelligent to me. I know he's a dirty scoundrel pirate dog, and I love you, Blackjack. But he seems like he's not just one of those twitchy gamers who's like, it moved, I must shoot it now. And he seems like, what's going to be the impact if I do this? So I think he's probably going to be like, oh, Carrack owner, Polaris in there. Let me just look up that profile. Or do I recognize their name? Have I interacted with them before? Do I think they're likely to report this? I think some of your OG pirate crews are probably going to be a little more reticent to do anything that's going to get them in trouble. I think your ones that just want to murder hobo and be assholes are always going to be assholes as long as they can get away with it. And the game's not set up to prevent that. The game is not set up with any kind of mechanic to go, why did you die? Oh, you died because someone shot you. What happened just before they shot you? The game doesn't look at the history before you got shot. It looks like, oh, you got shot. Who shot you? Well, Scarred shot you. Okay, well, Scarred's an asshole. The game doesn't go, well, you were tormenting Scarred and you stole his gun before he shot you. The game just goes like, this action, this reaction, this is the penalty. They need some kind of mechanism. I think we talked about this with you and I, or somebody and I talked about this. The game needs some kind of history where it goes, okay, Pagan shot Scarred. Why did Pagan shoot Scarred? Why did Scarred shoot Pagan? What happened? Were they goofing off? Were they playing a game and they were having fun? Did Pagan steal Scarred's ship? Or what happened before they got shot? It doesn't do that. It's not that smart. And no. I think as long as it's acting in a reactionary manner like that, we're going to have trouble like this.
I, for one, ever since the Chaos Squad incident happened, right? And it turned out it was a third party that reported him. They saw an image on Reddit and they reported Chaos Squad and they threatened to ban him. Now, we do know that when CIG bans people, they don't ban them for life, right? Because if they ban somebody for life, they have to start refunding money, and they're not going to refund money. So they will ban you for 3 days, 7 days, 28 days. 28 days is the longest I've seen somebody get banned, right? There has been a couple of lifetime bans, and that was discussed on somebody else's channel, and that involved racism and things going outside of the game, and so that's a totally different thing, and I get it. But besides that, the thing that I was advocating for since I've seen the Chaos Squad incident happen was, why can't we use a tiger claw and disable the bed?
You should be able to do that. Actually, it's hacking gameplay.
Right. Why,
Just like you should be able to go into a station and hack the guns and make the guns work in your favor. So if you go into, like, say you go into like wherever, Microtech, Hurston, whatever, you go to a security facility and the turret's trying to take you out. Once you get in, you should have the option of hacking the system and now changing the IFF. So now you and your friends are friendly and local security is foe. So they haven't, I guess the team that's going to be working on hacking is still doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think it would be not only a quality of life thing, but you know, if I do want to take over your Polaris, because let's get one thing straight. All right, not every time does a ship have to have cargo on it to be pirated. Okay, everybody thinks that a ship has to have cargo on it to be pirated. There's several factors that go into that. One, not all cargo is worth it. Two, ships can be worth as much money as cargo if you bring in a reclaimer or a vulture and you scrape them and you munch them and then you sell the components and you sell the RMC and the CMC off. You can make money doing that.
Mm-hmm.
The Polaris, we all know if you can get those torpedoes out, it's $500,000 that can be sold. Is it worth the $500,000 to take over Polaris? I don't know, but it's $500,000. Plus you can munch and crunch the ship up. So there's that. You know, it's not always about the cargo. You don't always have to have cargo on board to be pirated. Your ship is still worth money, right? Your components are still worth money. But anyways, I guess this will be the final question for Tier 0, the final discussion point for Tier 0. How long do you think we're going to really sit in a Tier 0, right? I know this is a loaded question because, well, we can go down the list of Tier 0s and 1s that have been here for quite a long time. Do you think that this is going to be a rush job to get it to Tier 1? Or do you think we could be sitting in here for a while?
I think they're highly motivated to push it out of Tier 0 quickly. I think the motivation is there. I don't know if the expertise and the programming luck is there to get us out of Tier 0 quickly. I know they want to get us out of Tier 0 quickly. I'm seeing a lot of fresh faces on ISC, and the ones that I've talked to, well, we could have another whole discussion. Oh, thank you, beautiful lady. Okay, babe, thank you. I think Mrs. B just brought me dinner.
Oh.
Yeah, good stuff. Anyway, we're seeing a lot of fresh faces, and you should probably do a video talking about it at some point to change over. But they don't seem to be as cognizant or as familiar with the original goals. And we've talked on this several times already tonight. So I think they're like, oh, we want this. We want it to be here. We want Tarkov with a space background instead of a Russian city background. So I think they're going to be highly motivated to push it to later Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and we don't even know what's coming up after that. So their motivation is there. But I don't know if they've got the familiarity with the way the systems interact with each other to take it there quickly. I think that they can write the code to make that happen. No problem. They can write the code. They probably already got ideas. They're probably already writing functions or whatever it is they would use for how they're programming a game engine these days. But I think they're probably going to run into more issues with like, oh, we changed this. Now it's breaking this system over here. Oh, the shops no longer work because we changed this. I mean, and we've seen evidence of this happening before. It's like, we make an item change. Oh, suddenly everything that was in the shop went poof. Remember, I don't know if you were playing in the days when they made somebody in graphics made a change and you couldn't look at the kiosk while certain pieces of armor colors were on the screen because it would literally blind you. It was coming out of the screen with the eye of Sauron and a thermonuclear flashlight shining in your eyes, and you had to like hope I'm scrolling past this. So that was just because somebody here made a change and it didn't get enough Q&A before they pushed it out. So I think we're going to run into that with tier 0.5 a lot. And Jimmy the Sweetheart's here. Hey, Jimmy.
Stay a while and listen.
Okay. I mean, very good point. Very good point. And Kamerl, if you end up watching this, that's how I felt watching that one video with the big yellow screen. Like, I smelled yellow for the next day. Like, it was, I love you, Kamerl. All right. But that hurt. That was, that hurt my eyes and my nose.
I will interject. Kamerl is one of the few people that I watch daily. I don't consume a lot of Star Citizen content. I'll watch you. Occasionally, I'll watch some of Salty's stuff. If you or somebody I know points out, like, hey, you should watch this part of his video. Kamerl is one of the few that if I see a video by him, I click and I watch all the way through. He's one of the very few. So good job, Kamerl.
I'm kind of the same way when it comes to Kamerl. There's not very many Star Citizen content creators I watch. That's no secret to you guys. It's no secret to you. I have my favorites. You know, you all know who you are, and I watch your videos. But it's for me, I like that my YouTube feed doesn't go for 35 videos, and it's just all Star Citizen before I find like, I don't know, this summer or this year's summer blockbuster movies, right? And it's got many trailers for all the movies coming out. Yeah, it's nice not to see that quite so much. Oh, hey, thanks Werner, thanks Chase. So I guess we should move on to tier 1. And your last comment is going to make me skip a few questions. And you were talking about them changing stuff in the background, which messed stuff up in the kiosk because you got your eyeballs burnt out and your screen got burned forever. Maybe I shouldn't skip to this. Or, well, you know what? I'll give the in tier 1, we're going to be able to mark items as stolen, right? So if somebody takes stuff off of us, right, and we'll go back around to this, but if somebody takes something off of me, say it's my purple star kitty thing, and they take it from me, and I mark it as stolen, it eventually becomes bricked, right? You can't use it anymore in tier 0. You'll be able to sell it, but you won't be able to wear it. Do you think that we could see a bricked item bug become a prevalent issue with tier 1?
Yes. And I think that's inevitable.
Okay. I think that we'll eventually see that as well. I think that there could be some mess ups here and there, and I'm not saying that I'm expecting a perfect tier 1 launch. I don't think we should even have tier 0 and we should go to tier 1, but that's a whole nother hour of discussion that we can have. I see another issue coming up with that, and that is, remember how we were talking about, Jump Town or PvP? Wait, explain more detail of that question. So the question is will we see a bricked item bug rear its ugly face in Star Citizen? So since if Pagan boards me, kills me, and takes my Star Kitty outfit or my, what is that silver aerial suit, right, from me, and I mark it as stolen, it eventually becomes bricked. He won't be able to wear it. He'll be able to sell it, but he won't be able to wear it anymore. Do we see that becoming a prevalent issue in Star Citizen? An item that you bought or picked up off the ground, could we see it eventually become bricked? I think there's an inevitability that a brick bug will eventually rear its ugly head into
Stay
Star
a while
Citizen.
and listen.
Unfortunately. So, here, since you're asking, let me bring up Let me bring it up right here. We're going to have words over our face. Okay, Pagan?
Oh, no. My beautiful face.
Dirty words. Dirty
Who
words.
reads anyway?
Right?
Only nerds read.
So here in tier 1, looting and bricked items. Once an item is looted, it remains usable until the original owner reclaims it or marks it as stolen. At that point, a dead man switch is activated, meaning it will cease to function after a period of time. While looted and or stolen bricked item is no longer usable, you can still sell the item for credits. So I do unfortunately see it becoming an issue where it's an unintentional, but items might become bricked. I hope we don't see it, but I think it will eventually become an issue. Once again, I hope not, but we'll see. We'll see, right? So let me go back to the beginning of tier 1. So it says we're gonna eventually. Hey, Raven joined us. Welcome,
Hello.
Raven. All right, real quick. Raven, please give us an intro and yeah, where they can find you at.
Perplexed Raven. I formerly streamed on Twitch. Need to really start that back up.
So look for Raven on Twitch if you haven't. And real quick, how long have you been playing the good old Star Citizen?
Oh, since you could mount a size 4 on the top of the Cuddy Black
Oh wow.
instead of the turret.
Okay. So a while then.
Yeah, I think that was like 2014-ish.
Oh wow. So you've been around for a while.
Yep.
I feel like at 3 years I've been here for a decade. I can only I can only guess at what you guys feel like being here for so long. So we're talking about tier 1, and I asked Pagan the question: do you think bricked items could eventually become a bug in Star Citizen, where items that were not supposed to be bricked eventually becoming bricked? Me and Pagan agree that we might see some version of this bug rear an ugly head with the advent of tier 1.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a bad habit of having old problems come back up,
Mm-hmm.
and we've seen that across the board with several things. Elevators being one. It's coming back with freight elevators.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing all kinds of stuff get bricked, and then they'll fix it for a little bit, and then they'll release the next patch, and then it'll be broken again.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So Raven, here's a question for you. We're gonna go. So Pagan kind of led that off, and I went deeper into my tier 1 questions than I should have. So to tier 1, they describe us as being able to register items. I have yet to see, and I have yet to see a Spectrum post or a Reddit post from one of the devs explaining to me or to us where and or how do we register these items, whether it's in our ship or on our body. How do we register these items, and where are we going to register them at? Does anybody have any ideas, even a theory craft at this point?
It could be something similar to how they have like the nameplates where you can register it on the site. I mean, that's just about where everything has started, is it starts with the site and then it gradually kind of moves over to the game. Because like Arena Commander, the requisition for Arena Commander used to be its own site.
Oh, really?
It had like a green background, and then anything that you bought on that website would get transferred into your Arena Commander.
Okay. So my thinking is that maybe on the item kiosks, when you click on an item, it might ask you, or you like right click on it, and you know how it says, split item or equip all or whatever. Maybe there'll be a thing that says insure or register, or however they decide to word it. But yeah, I can't really think of a way they would do this where they would have to create another kiosk or something. I hope they don't go that route, because I don't know about you guys, I've had enough of damn kiosks in this game. It's a kiosk for everything. I don't want another one just to register my weapons and things like that. I hope it's a clicky thing or a right click thing on an on an item in your kiosk. Or
I would say that they could tie it in to just like kind of like what Tarkov does, where it gets tied in just before you go into a mission or something. So like when you're buying something, you could just like click a little button on there, and it's just like, this item will be insured.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that.
All right.
I mean, they have some stuff I think already on the kiosks like that, where you can like buy a mag with a gun or something, and that's a little point that you can get on the kiosks.
All right, kind of a joke question for whoever wants to grab this. So since we're talking about buttons here, we have the register button, and they discussed in tier 1 that you will no longer be spawned at a med bed with all of your gear on, and you'll have to re-equip items and whatnot, and they're going to introduce a auto equip button. So we have a register or insurance button and an auto equip button. How long do you think it will take for them to develop that, since it took 3 to 4 years to develop Move All?
Oh, that's a rough one. I mean, this is essentially an inventory management game that still doesn't have the inventory management down pat.
Yeah.
So having an equip all button, I can imagine they have something pretty close to it, and then it gets rubber banded back into your inventory.
That'll be an odd thing to see at somebody's hangar, standing there at the item kiosk pushing equip all, and it's just whoop, 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 whoop.
It'll do the thing where it equips it for like 5 seconds. You'll see the inventory start cycling and doing the little loading thing, and then all your equipment will be back in your inventory.
Oh, and then 5 minutes later, you're getting space, and suddenly you're naked again, and with your little DVDs on. Oops.
There will be someone, unfortunately, in the middle of an EVA when that happens.
It's going to be me. I guarantee it. It's going to be me.
Okay. So like I said, that was kind of a joke question. Hopefully they have the button at least there before maybe functionality, or I don't know, but I hope it's that this is not something that goes on for a long time before, like Pagan, you were saying the last night, they're making old things new again. So hopefully we don't all forget about it, and then a year later or 2 years later, they're like introducing the new equip all button. So yeah.
We would be honored.
Exactly.
If you would join us.
So here's though a serious question. The dead man switch that they talked about, right? And once again, I'll bring it back up here for people that don't know. If you loot somebody, right, you can click stolen, and a dead man switch is activated. And after a short period of time, the item is bricked and is no longer usable. So I'll leave it to you guys. First Pagan, and then Raven. Do you see issues with the dead man switch?
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's gonna happen. And I kind of joked about it one night. I don't remember I don't remember the context, but I remember telling somebody I was pissed off. And I remember telling him, it's like, you know what? If somebody steals my shiny gold gun and they're shooting in a bunker, I want to know that like 3 days later in the middle of combat, that gun just evaporates and they're sitting there with their wiener in their hand and an NPC takes them out. There's that vengeful part of me. It's like, that was my shiny gold gun, you bastard. Part of me wants to see that happen. But then again, if you're on the other side of that, that would really suck. It's like, hey, how'd you die? Why am I in prison? Well, I guess that jerk, PLG, claimed his shiny gold gun and stolen that rich SOB. We can't all be whales. So I can see both sides of it happening. But that evil little pagan in me just wants to see it happen. But it's not a good idea. It's design wise, yeah, you got to guarantee that that's not going to get broken. And let's be honest with you. And shade, and CIG, I'm not throwing shade at you. You're human beings. Your devs are working hard and they're trying to make this code work. But you change this, and it's going to have impacts across multiple systems that you don't even know, and it's going to happen. My gun's going to disappear. I mean, it's already sometimes it gets to the point where my tractor beam just goes click, click, click in the middle of using it. So, I mean, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
It's going to be hilarious.
I could see it being implemented, and then as soon as it's implemented, it's like there's people just going, well, none of my stuff works anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you stole it. And it's like, no, this is stuff I bought from the store. This is just like brand new out of the hangar.
Oh, last night.
Doesn't work.
Last night, bought a gun, gave it to Cosmic. What would have happened if, just because I'm a jerk, I go in my Moby and be like, you know what? That gun I gave Cosmic.
I see a lot of issues coming up with this. Like you just said, Pagan, I sell a guy 10 railguns, right? The player economy that we have, what little player economy we have right now. I sell somebody 10 railguns. They're like, cool, see you at Jumptown. Click, dead man switch. How I can see a lot of things happening, and that button being abused in situations it was not meant to be used for.
I challenge you to a duel, sir. Here's this SMG I stole a week ago.
Yeah. Another thing that they have not brought up on the Spectrum post, any follow-up Spectrum posts or Reddit posts that I see, is how long until an item becomes bricked, and do we get a warning system? Because Perplex brought it up. I steal Pagan's shiny gold armor, and I'm sitting in my shiny F8, and I jump out to EVA over to somebody else's ship, and all of a sudden I'm choking. Like, how would you guys go about doing this? How would you make a warning system, and how long do you think is fair before it becomes bricked?
It needs to flash across the HUD. It needs to be in a place that's not in global chat's window. It needs to be in a place that gets your attention, kind of like the whole trespassing warning is prominent and you see it. It doesn't prevent you from doing any action, but it gets your attention. That needs to be there, and it needs to give them enough time to EVA back into their ship. So I would say maybe a 10-minute warning.
Okay.
And maybe have it start counting down the last 2 minutes.
It could even be on stowage. Like as soon as it's put into an inventory system that's at a regulated area, like ArcCorp or something, you throw it into that inventory system. It's like, oh, that was a stolen gun.
Oh yeah, you can't.
It there.
Yeah, you can't bring it back out. Okay.
Somebody mentioned earlier in the conversation. I'm sorry, I didn't take it here. Somebody mentioned earlier in the conversation, it may have been Canup. Sounds like a Canup statement about being able to hack the system and no longer flag it as stolen. I'm all in favor of that as long as the original owner has an option to undo that.
It would also give relevance to places like Pyro with the more anarchy and stuff. It's like, oh hey, you can just throw your inventory items in this in the inventory here, and they won't go off. They won't brick here.
Oh,
but as soon as you take it back to a law-bearing system like Staten, it's like that timer started.
I see a variety of different ways they can do it. Like you guys were saying, you steal it from somebody, you enter, even just an armistice zone of a space station with stolen gear on, and that person's already marked it as stolen. Hey, you have X amount of hours or minutes, days, whatever they end up deciding is fair before this item is bricked. And then, with 10 minutes left, or 2 minutes left, it starts telling you, hey, look, this is going to go away. And so if you're, trying to surf on asteroids out in your suit, it's not going to work in a few minutes. So you better get your ass back to your ship. Something like that is fair. I feel like, go ahead.
It would encourage players to kind of stick within their spheres. So if like somebody likes pirating and stuff, it's like, oh hey, I can come to Staten with my stolen gear and do my pirating, but I need to be back in Pyro before that timer clicks over, so that it doesn't brick out on me.
Yeah.
So it would encourage people to not pirate in Staten, but it keeps them. It's not a hard like, hey, you can't do this. It's just encouraged like, hey, your stolen gear can stay over in Pyro, and it kind of limits their travel reach too into Staten.
How about doing it like Starfield does? If you have anything that's stolen on your ship, when the cops scan you in Starfield, do you get a fine? And the item disappears? They could do something like that. Or if you have enough, if like below this threshold, this X dollar amount, you get a warning, you get a fine, the item poof disappears. Above a certain dollar amount, you're going to jail, bitch, and you get a higher fine. And then like above a certain dollar amount, you go in the jail and you get a strike on your reputation or something. They could do that, I guess, but they'd have to allow a way to hack it and get rid of it later.
Yeah.
Or they scan you and you can choose to resist the item going poof, but that's going to escalate immediately.
I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do with it, and even create its own little mini game loop with it too. The only thing that, and we'll get into this in a few minutes, but the only thing that is concern for me, and look, I still think it's a mistake that they put it on the stores, but if I was somebody that had pledge gear, I would still want a way to get that back, even if you stole it and you were hacking it, or you brought it to Pyro or wherever. And yes, I know it counts as item duplication because Raven has my shiny silver mining suit over in Pyro, but I get a fresh one back. I'm fine with that as long as, once again, it doesn't get abused. But there's a lot of background systems and even foreground systems that have to be worked on and completed before we can get stuff like that done. But yeah, I think the dead man switch is kind of, at this point in the game, I don't think it's a good idea. Like you should just get your thing back, and the other person, they stole that Hello, I keep saying Hello Kitty, that Star Kitty thing from you, or whatever pledge item they got from you. They just have it, and they got it from you fair and square. They get to keep it, and that's that. But you have a way of item recovering it. That's kind of what I thought this was going to be about, not so much what it is now.
I view it more as like, if they take it from you, it's like, congratulations, you got a trophy from that person. If you lose it, you've lost it.
Right.
But if you've bought it off the pledge store, I mean, just give them like a time delay on how long it takes for them to like reclaim it, or it appears back in their inventory.
That would work.
Like, even like, because I mean, Tarkov,
hey, get that squirrel off my dick.
Guy,
who knows he's not allowed to come on my
dick? Yeah, the guy that does the insurance on there, it's like 24 hours before you get your gear back.
Yeah, proper.
48, something like that. Yeah, proper.
Yeah, and don't they have to die in combat or something? Don't they have to take the item into combat?
You'd have to die in combat in Tarkov, and then nobody has to loot your body until that session closes. But we're kind of circumventing the session close and just being like, they're gonna get their trophy, but if they lose it, they lose it. You get to reclaim your stuff in like 48 hours, 24 hours, something like that.
So how about a combination? Because I think it was Jim that suggested changing it, and I don't know if Salty. I didn't watch all of Salty's video, but I watched part of it. Salty's suggestion, I thought it was a damn good suggestion. Was instead of it being like you bought this gold gun or a purple gun on the pledge store, you bought a skin, a paint that you put on it, the same way you put paint on a ship. So now you're allowed to have one P8 that is bright pink. Okay, great. You bought a paint for a gun. So if that gun gets stolen, it's pink until you go in there and you claim your paint or you transfer the paint to a different gun. Now suddenly their P8 went from being, Star Kitty pink to being gray. That's one way, but is marketing human enough to go, hey, this isn't working. Here's our solution. We're going to roll it back. And now everyone who purchased the Star Kitty gun now has a Star Kitty paint for the gun. We're sorry for the inconvenience. This is the best solution based on what we're seeing. That way, whoever looted it gets it until the original owner claims it is stolen, and then they can move the paint over. The paint disappears, and you still got a gun. So maybe, but I mean, they're going to have to there's no way to do this in safe face.
No.
You could set it as like a transmog selection kind of deal.
Yeah.
Exactly like Diablo.
Whereas, as long as the gun is in your hands that matches that, so you could go through and queue up a big list of guns and be like, oh, hey, I want this skin on this gun when I pick it up, and I want this skin on this gun when I pick it up. So that way, if you pick up any gun on the ground, if it's gray, as soon as it hits your hands and it's in your hands, it's got the skin, and then once it leaves your hands, it's back to being the regular colored gray.
I don't think CR would do that, but I think CR might be more amicable to doing it kind of like the ship paints work. You go into like your inventory, is like, right click, apply paint 1, turn it pink. I don't know if CR would be amicable to having it magically change colors, because he seems to be real big on the whole cinematic experience. And I get it, he's directed movies. Okay. So, I mean, I get that. So I don't know. I love that idea personally. I love the idea of me picking up a gun from Moon and it goes from being camouflaged to like lime green and blinding everybody around them. I love that idea, but I don't know if CR would do it.
I was kind of always hoping that, hey, if I stole somebody's unique pledge store item stuff or their concierge top hat, that I would get to keep it, and that item recovery would just mean you going either to an in-game store or even your item kiosk. God, I hate those things. That's a whole nother story. And it's still there, and you just push reclaim or rebuy for a credit or something like that. But I still get to keep the item because it's my trophy. I got it from you fair and square, or Pagan took it from me fair and square, or however it works. Yeah. I think having a trophy from somebody is kind of cool and kind of fun if you're into PvPing.
I like trophy hunting.
Yeah, I like trophy taking. There's okay. So obviously we're going to see a lot of people wearing things that we don't usually see people wear and bring out and use, and it's going to be fun for a while, right? But I kind of feel this way. I'm wondering how you guys feel. Do you feel that pledge armor and weapons are the new LTIs? They auto register, you auto get them back, you can mark them as a dead man switch, and it takes the cosmetics with it, so now the person doesn't even get a trophy anymore, and they could be borked in the middle of use or bricked in the middle of use. Do you really think that the pledge store items are now the new LTIs, or dare I say pay to win?
Pay to look good.
Fashion is the true end game.
I'm all for ship paints. I love the way Elite does the ship paints. I love the ship paints idea. I think it's a great way for them to raise funds. It doesn't matter whether the saber that took you out, or like last night, the Eclipse with the tarp, it didn't matter to me in game whether that Eclipse was black, green, or bright pink. The gameplay was the same. Suddenly I died and you're like, what happened? So I think the paints are a good way to go. I think no one can reasonably complain about pay to win on that unless it's like, oh, I'm buying one that makes it really hard to see me. Well, someone can run reshade and they can see you anyway. So I think that's probably a safer way to go. And it's like Salty said, you're buying a overlay, or Raven's idea, the transmog. I love that for the weapon. I think that's a better idea. But yeah, it is LTI. I mean, your LTI and your gun, at least for tier 0.
I mean, in tier 1 too, and tier 2. Because they auto,
you can't place them both.
Yeah, they auto from tier 0 all the way through. They're treated pretty much the same. They auto register. You can claim them back. Well, I don't want to say claim them back. You can mark them as stolen, and they get bricked, and you get them back. And that kind of goes back to tier 0 again. If you have pledge store grenade launchers or sub gear grenade launchers and heavy armor and all of that stuff. You know, is there really a need to go out and loot and buy in-game stuff if you already have it? Like, because you'll never lose it, right? It auto registers. Yeah, you might be naked when you wake up again, but you can just say stolen. And they've never given us a clue as how long does it take for it to get back? Is there an insurance claim on it? Does it cost money to rebuy? How are we getting these things back? They've never explained it. So as I'm sitting here right now, to me, it seems like if you really want to play this game, buy stuff off the pledge store, because you're never going to lose it again from here on out.
I think if they were to go and make the Deadman switch into its own gameplay loop, it would be more interesting. Because they were talking about the facilities and stuff that you could be able to raid with a bunch of people later on. Now, let's say that those are manufacturer-specific facilities for like weapons or vehicles, so be it. So that if you raid that facility successfully, you can chuck a bunch of your Deadman switch stuff onto a pile, and it can work a process to where it's like, oh, hey, this stuff's now usable now. You've disarmed the Deadman switch, but actually make it like a gameplay loop to where they actually have to go through, you know, a decently difficult raid, have to actually work with other people.
But then the owner of the go ahead.
Or you get like a hangar that you can open up, kind of like they're doing with the executive hangars in Pyro. We have to go through that big loop, and then you can get your special F8.
But then you get the problem of the person, like, if I go to the pledge store and I have not purchased any items that were not already part of a bundle. So I haven't bought like a shiny green gun. But if I had paid like $10 US for a shiny green gun and I had no chance of getting it back, that would piss me off, and reasonably so.
We would still, I mean,
yeah,
you let the people still be able to claim a version of their gun, but the bricked item, the one that you threw the Deadman switch on, that one has to go through like a whole gameplay loop to get unbricked.
Yeah, I think you should change colors. I mean, if it's like, oh, it's no longer shining green, now it's just a P8. Or put the player's name on it. If you want a trophy, okay, fine. PLG's green gun. The gun now says PLG's green SMG or whatever. So yeah, now you got to update your database and put naming on weapons, and they're not going to want to do that. But there, I was thinking about while you're talking, there is a way to give everybody what they want. But that involves special systems where theft is illegal or theft is allowed and can happen in game mechanics, and systems where it can't. But then you're going to get in a situation where people who buy all this stuff, like, you know what? I'm never going to go to Pyro because I can lose my stuff. So I'll just stay in Stanton or have a chance of getting it back. So you're right back to the whole PvE versus PvP thing. So, I mean, there is a way to give everybody what they want, but then the people who are hanging out in systems where they can steal stuff aren't going to have seals to club. So they walked themselves and they painted themselves into a corner.
Okay. Here's another one that, once again, I don't see anybody talking about, and this is very much making me scratch my head. I'm going to bring up words and put them over our faces again. Additionally, with the implementation of Tier 1, our current plan is to remove the ability to backspace out of dangerous scenarios as a way to retain gear. I, once again, see a lot of situations where this is going to cause some big, big problems. I'm kind of hoping to get your guys' opinion on what do you see coming out of that sentence.
If that was the case, I would have lost my gear last night while I was falling through the sky.
Yeah.
Which I probably rightly should have lost that gear.
Right. But you see, I'm trying to wrap my head around what is a dangerous situation, right? Because if I'm falling to my death because my ship just decided it wasn't going to be there anymore. Is that a dangerous situation? Me falling through a planet, is that a dangerous situation? Me getting incapped because I got ran over in an armistice zone, is that a dangerous situation? Like, there are so many different scenarios that are running through my head right now, and are they going to be considered a dangerous situation? And I won't be able to backspace and keep my gear, right?
Yeah.
Like right now, we don't keep our gear when we backspace, right? You wake up in a hab, you're in a medical gown, and you gotta, you know, go and corpse run, right? Or if you were falling to the middle of a planet, you just got to say, well, that's it. My stuff is gone. But the no backspace thing makes me feel like there's going to be a lot of situations where this could be a big problem for those that want to keep their gear.
What do they mean by no backspace? Are they just taking that keybind away?
It sounds to me, the way they're wording it is it's going to be like trying to bed log during combat. Like it won't let you. So all they say, it's just one sentence. And once again, before I went live today, I looked on Spectrum, I looked on Reddit to try to find official dev answers. Nobody's asked or answered this question. And I'm not seeing anybody really actually talk about this, whether it's the Salty Mikes or the Board Gamers or anybody. Nobody's asking this question. They all seem to just, it's not here. It doesn't exist. They're all focusing on mostly on tier 0, which I get it. And I understand. I think tier 0 is a big problem. But tier 1, our current plan is to remove the ability to, in quotes, backspace, end quote, out of dangerous scenarios as a way to retain gear. I like, there's a lot of situations where there's a bug in the game or something out of the ordinary happens, whether it's bug or player induced, where you do need to backspace. So now am I stuck in in-cap mode because I got ran over in an armistice zone, or Moon hit me with a box, right? Or, you know, I'm falling to my death because my ship's floor just gave away and I'm falling at terminal speed towards microtech. Like, how does this work? What's a dangerous situation? What's not a dangerous situation? And Walker brings up a good point too, Alt F4. If backspace isn't working, right? Just like combat logging, if I try to run to my bed and try to combat log and it doesn't let me and I just hit Alt F4, well, my body and my ship still remain there. Is it going to do the same thing while I'm falling to my death on my way to the surface of microtech, or from the surface of Hurston to the center of Hurston? Or, as I said, Moonraker hit me with a box in armistice zone while we were trying to unload a ship. Am I now stuck in cap permanently because it's a dangerous situation? How will that work?
They have to put a timer on that. They got to put a timer on the dangerous situation. So number one, the first thing you got to do in your code is go, okay, we're in a dangerous situation. Okay, we'll do like Elite does. What is it, like a 5-minute timeout or a 10-minute timeout on it? Okay, so number one, they got to put a time function. Number two, the game loses track often of where you are. Like, you can be in your ship, get out of a seat, and suddenly you're in the EVA position where your hands are in the air and your feet are tucked up in the semi-fetal. And the only way to get out of that situation is someone to come take you out, and hopefully you snap back when you're back conscious again. So this is right back to the whole death penalty thing BS. You guys are thinking about a game that's further along in development and you have debugged your code thoroughly, but newsflash, you ain't debugged your code. So you need to take that off the back burner and put it on the counter, because your game is not stable enough for that to be reliable or dependable. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I know you guys have some great ideas. You young devs, you've got some great ideas from playing other games, and I'm all for that. But that is a legit beta thing. You guys are in alpha and your code is breaking shit. So until your code no longer breaks shit, take that off of the stove, put it on the counter, maybe even put it in the fridge, because you ain't there yet. I'm sorry. This is an old grumpy old whale bastard telling you, yes, I'm glad you're here. Yes, I'm glad you're back in the project, but you need to get your shit straight first, kid. Because you're gonna. I'm watching a new electrician roll up to his first high voltage panel, and he doesn't have his gloves on. That's what I'm seeing right now. I'm seeing a brand new electrician. He's got his screwdriver in his hand. He's got his Klein screwdriver in his hand, and he's ready to go. I'm gonna put this meter in here, boss. Watch me. And he's rolling up to that meter. He's gonna put it in there and screw it in, but he ain't even got his gloves on. So I'm sorry, kid. Hit the brakes. Pump the brakes, put down the screwdriver, put on your gloves. The adults are talking. The old electrician is telling you you're going to die. So back it up. Death penalty, off the stove. The whole dead man switch, logging out of situations, off the stove. Get your code stable, debug your shit, and you got people who will help you. Get that straight first, and then bring in your dead man switch. Then bring in your combat logging thing, because the other night somebody couldn't log out of the game because they were combat logging, and we were not even combat. I think we were in an armistice zone, and it was like, oh, you're combat logging. No, I'm not. Sorry, went off.
Oh no, you're good. It's like yeah, I think they should really hold off and wait on the implementation of new features when the game is still, everything about the game feels clunky. You gotta go run somewhere. There's a good chance you're gonna trip and fall. The transitions between like running to jumping, clunky. Movement, just clunky in general.
Hell, you can still fall down the stairs in a station and die. So
yeah, EVA to ground to gravity, still
right.
Really clunky. Need to eat or drink water, still really clunky. Anything inventory related, really clunky. It needs a level of smoothness and fluidity of where I can do thing A and do thing B without having to go through options C, D, and E to be able to make A to B happen.
Right.
It's like someone had an issue drinking food and water last night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, where's the hang up between putting it from inventory to hand to getting your character drinking it?
I don't know. Like there's times where I feel like I got to take a Cruise Lux, put it in my hand. Okay, he's not drinking. I'll put it back in my backpack. I'll try to put it in his hand. Maybe he'll drink it this time. Well, now I can't put it in my hand, so I got to put it on the floor. I can't pick it up off the floor. So now I got to turn around 6 times, crouch up and down 4 times, jump twice, then pick it up, and then I can drink it. And that right there, we should not have a lot of the advanced features that they're planning on putting in. As I think it was Moon said, this is supposed to be the year of bug squashing and polishing and fixing. And just looking over at 4.1, look, this is me being an ass, so I'm sorry. So looking at when 4.0 released, to 4.01 to 4.02 to now 4.1, you said no more new features this year, guys. And look at all of these new features that are in 4.1. When did you have time to work on those? Was it before 4.0? Because if so, that means that you could have pushed 4.0 out last summer. If that's not the case, and you just started working on them after you got back from Christmas break, well, you're telling me now that you can do things faster than you have been doing them. But then you're going to tell me that you can't do things because it takes time. But then when you rush it and you put it out, you're going to tell me that you put it out, but you didn't think things through because now there's bugs that break other parts of the game. Like, this is where I get extremely frustrated with CIG and the way they do things, because I don't know if maybe this is the right way of saying it, but they talk out of this side of their mouth and then slap you upside the head while you're looking at them. Like, it just, I don't know. Like, I feel very off put by a lot of the stuff they've done in the last, I don't know, 4 months, five months. It's frustrating to me. Anyways, I sorry for being an ass if I was sounding like an ass, but that's kind of how I feel right now. And I agree with you, Pagan and Raven. There's a lot more in this game that needs to get touched on, worked on, fixed, squashed, enhanced, however you want to say it, before we start adding things like a death tax for dying, death of a spaceman, a dead man switches, bricked items, things like that. Like, and I think, to keep on topic, I think item recovery, while it's a fantastic idea, I think the idea is being muddled up by marketing and the ability to use cash items in a video game. I'm okay with the ships and the way they have ships set up with reclaim fees and reclaim timers and all of that stuff. I think pledge items, guns, armors, etc., should be treated the same way as a ship. And I think this is a very convoluted and roundabout way of doing that and trying to please a lot of people. So, yeah, that's
baseline stability for the game would go just such a long way.
I agree.
It really would.
I agree.
Because it's like, how are we supposed to bring people into the game and go, hey, look at this great space game, and then just fall through the floor of a ship?
Yeah. So if there's anything that we want to talk about any further on tier 1 or tier 0, we'll move on to tier 2 and kind of bring this thing home. Is there anything you guys want to talk any more about on tier 0 or tier 1?
No, I think we can go ahead and move along.
Pagan, you good? You got anything else?
Not specifically about tier 0, 1. I'll save it for later. Go ahead.
Okay. So tier 2, right? That's when they start talking about things like, here, let me bring it up again. That's when they start talking about things like things being a better making a viable system for piracy and crafting and so on. That makes me wonder, how far away from crafting are we really? And then that brings into the conversation crafting in general. With registering items and having a quote unquote LTI on pledge items and once again registering even in-game items, is crafting even viable anymore at this point?
I think it's going to have a place because not everybody can or wants to or even should pledge more than a starter package to play the game. I think SC appealed to a lot of people because, like, hey, I can pay $40, $35, $40, $60, whatever, one time and play the game. That appeals to people, especially the older crowd who remembers paying like $40 for a game. I think I paid like $50 for Diablo 1 back in the day in the 90s, and I was like, oh my God. And the only reason why I did is because I had played the demo and I knew it was awesome. I played the first 2 levels. So I think the people in that mindset are legitimate. I think that's a legitimate and something that CIG should honor. So that mindset's always going to want the looting. They're always going to want the crafting. They're always going to want the stealing. They're always going to want the earning in game. And they should. Because how many games should require you to keep forking over money? You know, we're players playing a game. Yes, some of us have elected to back the project. But in the end, when this thing goes to release, if it makes it, I hope it does, we're players playing a game. So it's unreasonable to expect everyone to keep working over money for that. So yeah, it's viable, but they really got to just circle back and think about that from a player's point of view.
How much game is left in your game if you can buy the end game?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Like, if you give people the option to buy into directly into the end game, what's to stop them? What keeps them playing? What is the player retention there? Well, it's like, I own a javelin at the end of the game, or whenever it comes out, if it comes out. It's all right. Well, the ship in game is big ship, do big thing. I have big ship that do big thing.
Side rant. Do we know what the big thing will even be to do with Big Ship?
That's a very good question.
Okay. So, is crafting going to still be viable? You guys are saying yes. But I have another question that, once again, I've only seen a few people bring up. And I'd like to take us in the Wayback Machine and go to CitizenCon 2024 and 2023 when they brought up weapon and armor degradation.
Oh.
How does this... We know crafting. Let's play pretend and theory craft here. If crafting is the way other games will be, like say DayZ, for example, I craft said item, and after so many uses, it breaks. I can no longer use it. I have to recraft said item and use it again, right? With item recovery and me being able to register and / ensure said item, how does degradation work into this? How does wear and tear work into I just click button and it gives me back?
I bet the marketing team really regrets selling items on the store now.
Because I don't see a way, at least not right away, even tier 0, even tier 2, right? If crafting is available at this point, if wear and tear is in the game at this point, I don't know how they're going to really work this without pissing off even more people, because now my pledge stare item stops working because wear and tear, and I have to go back to my base or back to an AZ and reclaim it, wait the timer or however they have it set up, or pay the money. But this is my pledge item. It shouldn't break because I paid real money for it, etc., etc., etc. Fill in the blanks, right? So how are they going to get wear and tear to work in this with a pledge store item, or with a concierge item, or with sub flare stuff? Like, how is this legitimately going to work? Because I think wear and tear is needed in a game where crafting is available. You can't just craft unlimited supplies of stuff and never have it wear out or break and not need it replacing. I still think, this is once again going way down the theory crafting road. If I have X armor, it stops X amount of small arms, right? But if I equip my small arms with X ammo, it defeats this, which also means it breaks it to a point, which means I have to either craft repairs for it or buy repairs for it. But if I'm doing this to a pledge store item, well, then it gets the benefit of not having that because they can just reclaim it. Like, I don't understand how this is all going to work. And the same even goes for looted or store-bought materials. If things are wearing down and breaking, what's going to prevent me from just going boop button, wait 10 minutes, fresh set of armor, off I go? Or once again, however they work it, because they haven't really discussed it.
That's how we fix ships right now when they don't work. You fly them out of the station and claim them. You had to do it last night.
You would almost have to set a save state for the armors so that it comes back in the state that it was claimed.
Oh. And we need a gun repair shop.
Yeah, kind of like return. But other games have done that. Tarkov, of course. Even Kingdom Come Deliverance has weapons that you can get special with your special edition and whatnot. They're special weapons. Still have to repair them.
Okay. So
that's not I wouldn't say that it's new. I don't think people should be able to just go, oh hey, I paid $10 in this. I get free repairs for life.
If it's a concierge gun, they have to go to a special tier 5 gunsmith to get it repaired, because let's be real, you're not going to take a $2,000 SIG into, hey, look, my name's Joe Bob and I'll fix guns and WD-40 and a pair of pliers. You ain't taking that $2,000 SIG in there. Not if you're smart. So, yeah, maybe make them have to go to a special gunsmith in a certain place to get it fixed.
I mean, at this point, anything is I mean, we could theory craft our asses off on this stuff, but like, I don't know. I think it's a major concern.
They could even go as far as, hey, this is ID'd as a pledge store armor or pledge store item. We will make it so that the cost to repair those is slightly less, but then you get into the pay to win situations. Make it so you still have to repair it, but it's at a reduced amount or reduced consumption of resources kind of deal.
Yeah, I can see that. So a couple more topics. In tier 1, they said, you know, if an item becomes bricked because you stole it, right, and they claimed it or dead man switched it, right, you could only sell it in tier 1. In tier 2, you can get crafting materials out of it. So you can break it down and get crafting materials out of it. Do you think that's a fair play by CIG? You can sell it or get crafting materials out of it, but you won't be able to use it. So if Raven, if you steal my shiny pink gun, right, and I hit it's stolen and the dead man switch activates and now you can't use it. In tier 1, you could sell it. So you could take it to Cubby Blast on, I always call it Chubby Blast. Yes, I know. I call it Cubby Blast. You can take it to Cubby Blast on Area 18 and sell it there for, I'll just make up a number, 2,000 credits, right? That's all you can do with it. You can't use it. If it was an armor, you can't wear it, but you can take it and sell it. And tier 2, your choices are sell it or turn it into crafting material. Do you think that's fair to the player that looted it still at this point? Can't wear it, can't keep it as a trophy because the cosmetics disappear off of it, but you can sell it or make crafting materials out of it. Do you think that's a fair trade-off?
Tier 1, it's just going to get left on the ground because I'm not going to bother to even touch that. Tier 2, getting crafting materials out of it, that actually does sound somewhat appealing because even if I've stolen it, don't get my trophy. I don't like that. Maybe I still keep it as a trophy anyway, but I can choose to break it down and maybe make something better out of it. Maybe those are the materials that I need for like some kind of special gun off on the side that we're crafting. And hey, I break that down and I get just the right amount of materials that I need to finish that off.
Okay.
I could see that being better because it's actually still being useful.
It seems like. Go ahead, Rev. I'm sorry.
The selling just, I don't know. It seems kind of just really like recycling. It's just like, hey, yeah, we're just helping clean up the star system. Give me my 2,000 credit fee for this. And it's like I'm just gonna leave it at that point.
I mean, honestly,
Once it becomes too much of a bother or a tax on my gameplay, it's like I'd rather just ignore it.
Unless I needed a matching helmet off of you, like I don't see any reason for me to even pick it up anymore. Like, and that's kind of been my fear with this whole item recovery thing, is that tier 0 through 2, at the way they have written it, and they haven't expanded on it, they haven't given us any more details. Tier 1 through 2, there's still not, whether it's forced or not, there's still no reason for me to loot you anymore. Like, unless you have the same magazines as I have, there is literally no reason for me to loot you. If I need crafting material, okay, cool. I might need crafting material, especially since I'm not a miner. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I can agree with that. But as like, I don't know. There's very little reason for me to actually want to loot you anymore.
I think what they're trying to do, I may be wrong, but I think what they're trying to do is they're scrambling to find a way to reward people who like to do PvP looting. So I think right now, like, well, what can we do to make the PvP looters happy? We need to throw them a bone. Well, what's their bone going to be? Well, in this tier to be this, and in this tier to be that. I honestly think I have joked about it here. I've joked about it on stream. ears. Diablo had ears. I think what they could do, Tarkov has the dog tags.
Mhm.
All right, well, do something similar in Star Citizen. Okay. Pagan decided he was going to go try a bunker. Sky was waiting for him, got the drop on him, killed him. Okay, what do I get? I get some kind of item. I don't care what it is. Come up with something.
Glass.
Okay, that works. That works. You get a Moby Glass Pagan Linux Geek. You can keep that item as a trophy. It's small, it's tiny, doesn't take up any space in your storage. So you get your trophy. This last wipe, I got 57 Moby Glasses. I'm awesome. I killed this one dumb fucker who kept coming back 3 times. So I get 3 PLG Moby Glasses. I got a pink, a purple, and a green. You can keep it
really well for bounty hunters.
Exactly, trophies. And it also, you can keep it, or I've already got one for PLG. I can turn it in for X credits, or I can turn it in for crafting materials. You could even make it a randomized crafting material. That's the only thing I can think of to it in the end satisfy everyone so they're happy. Okay, great. Just don't sell the Moby Glass on the pledge store, please. Or we're right back where we started off.
They sell the Moby Glasses on the pledge store. You can already buy them at what is it, New Babbage?
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean. That's in game though.
Yeah. So I guess I only have a couple more questions left. I'm trying to word this as politely as I can, but I don't think there's really any way to do this. Right now, every other day, every other week, every other month, however long the time span is, it doesn't really matter. Either a YouTuber or a clip from Twitch gets out there, or somebody in Reddit and Spectrum posts about it. And it always comes down to the loudest ones to me are the PvE versus PvP. Every time, right? Those are the ones that get the most attention. Does item recovery at all, in your guys' opinion, do anything to stop the divide between the PvP and the PvE, or the PvE, the PvPPP? Does it do anything to resolve that situation?
I think it's making it more agitated in many cases. I think it will encourage, like you said earlier, I think it will encourage those who are more timid to try it because they don't want to lose their shiny gold armor, their shiny gold gun, or that special grenade launcher they got. And in the Christmas gift from 2 years ago, I think those are going to be more encouraged to try it in certain iterations of this. But I think the rest of them are going to have the opposite effect. So it's like, this may give CIG more of a clue of how many people who play their game are PvP looters, and how many are just do it occasionally, and how many are like, no, screw that.
I'm with Mr. E here. I think the PvP complaints are going to increase tenfold, especially tier 0. I really have a feeling that, and GrieferNet, I know you guys are here. I know you guys watch. I'm not singling you guys out. I'm going to include a lot of you guys, but people like Neighborhood Watch, GrieferNet, Pack Mortis, Liberty Reapers, so on down the road. It's going to encourage them and, quote unquote, embolden them. I don't like saying that because it's not true, but embolden them to, if ship moves, shoot it. If player moves, shoot it. Why? Because they're not going to lose anything anyways. So when people go to Spectrum and say, well, this guy ganked me at such and such spot, and they didn't even voip me, they didn't talk to me, they just shot me and killed me, and the response immediately within 1 second of that post is, what are you bitching about? You didn't lose anything. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I see this going, even all the way down to tier 2 with the way they talk about it. And we get no times on how long it will take to recover items, how long items take to get bricked if you're on the receiver, or if you're the one that's stealing them, how much money it'll cost, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things are left up in the air, right? I don't think this does anything to help the PvPers out, and I don't think it does anything to help the PvEers out. They tried to take a middle ground here, and I think it's just going to piss off more people than it's going to help. All the way down the line. It doesn't matter if it's tier 0 or tier 2. people are just going to be like, well, get good, bro. You didn't lose your armor anyway, so shut up and stop typing. Like that's what I see the comments turning into now. Like
it's not even. I mean, even with the, not just counting the PvP, but it also breaks in-game economy. It's like, why would I ever go buy another set of armor if I have an armor always at my disposal?
Right.
I mean,
so
I mean, even if people wanted to set up like the Krakens, they want to set up their little mobile malls and stuff. It's like, what are you going to be selling? If everybody keeps everything that they have on them, what do you sell?
Yeah, that's so the mysterious BMM. What good is it now?
I don't know, but it'll probably have kiosks on it to sell stuff.
Like that. That's see, like, you know, this goes back to what Pagan was saying. They're thinking 6 steps ahead, right? And they haven't even finished step 1, and that becomes a problem because now here's a $900. How much is the BMM? $600, $700, something like that.
It's just $1,000 now.
67, yeah, probably up to $1,000 now.
Hey, Amaki, thanks for the sub. I appreciate you, man. But like, why? Like, at this point, people are just, if we're not going to see some sort of player economy, even if it's at a smaller level than what they first described, right? People aren't going to keep their BMMs for that. They're not going to keep their Kraken for that because there's no point. There's no, like, okay, let's take this theory crafting in the next step further. If I can craft at my base, right? I set up my base and I can craft at it. What's to stop me from going to global chat and saying, come to these coordinates to my base where I can sell you blueprints, these items, this, that, and the other. There's no point in those ships anymore at least what I'm seeing. Maybe you guys have a different opinion, but like, I don't see the point in having a $900 Banu Merchantman or what is it, $1,100 Kraken to sell stuff out of.
Unless you're taking it to somewhere where it's not commonly found.
Right.
But then you'd have to make it more difficult to get to those places where it can't commonly be found.
Right. So that's where I stand right now. I mean, I hope if anybody has differing opinions, like, go ahead. Like, let me know, because I just don't see it. But before I start the next question, does anybody else want to say anything about tier 2 before I ask this last question? And I also would like to ask chat, whether it's Twitch or YouTube, if you have a question, put it in now. Put a little question mark before and after your question so I can see it, and I know it's coming. I'm not going to take too many, but just a few. And we'll ask the group here what they think. But before we move on, is there anything else on tier 2 that you guys want to discuss, have opinions on, rants you want to do? No?
There is something I need to do, but that is separate. I'm staring at it right now.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to ask this last question. This one's coming in hot. God damn it, Raven.
How's it feel, Scarred?
We talked about this last night. Hookers and blow. Hookers and blow.
Absolutely. Right?
Hookers and blow. Come on now. Okay. Wow. Thank you very, very much, Raven. I appreciate you. But next time, hookers and blow, and then let me know how it is, because you know. Anyways, this is going to be a hot question, and I think could make people get a little upset. So, Star Citizen. It's a multiplayer experience, right? But is it a MMO or is it something else, right? We don't really know right now, but we keep being told it's an MMO, right? Item recovery and the way that they've described it right now, is this more of a solo player experience now than an MMO?
I still kind of view it as just a tech demo.
It feels like a tech demo, doesn't it?
It really does. Feels like a really long, just beta tech demo.
Honestly, it feels like we've got Jill over here at desk 2, and she's doing her thing. And she's not talking to Sam over here at desk 5 doing his weapons thing. So he gets an idea and he runs with it, and Jill's running with her idea, and we get, Frank over here running with his idea, and we get Bobby Sue running with her idea, and we're hoping that they're going to converge at some point. But in the meantime, Jill has left, and now she's working at EgoSoft doing a flight model. And, someone else has slid in the Jill spots, and she's like, well, I don't know what she was doing, but this is what I'm doing. So honestly, lately, that's the way it feels. So they really need to take this year and have a meeting and actually get everybody herded into one direction here so those paths can cross. Because right now it feels like the video with the crazy hot index. Remember that one where the guy's got the whiteboard and it's got like crazy on this axis and hot on this axis. You need to stay on this side of the line, folks. You're going to have a problem. But right now, Star Citizen is at the engaging gameplay on one axis and bugs on the other. And you get to a point where I'm sweeping into the too heavy on the bug side, and I'm not getting engaging gameplay. I'm not getting my dopamine response, so I'm going to dip out. And I think a lot of your OG backers are dipping out. It's like there are OG backers that I played with for 6 years, and I rarely see them in SC, and it's not their fault. They just, like, for them, their experience dipped too far into crazy and not enough hot.
It's something I fully understand because I go on hiatus regularly. I'll dip out for probably a half a year before I even come back.
I kind of do the same thing now, Raven. Maybe not quite as long, but honestly, I really only joined the game to hang out with friends. I know it sounds really dumb, but that's kind of how I approach it now. I don't want to go down this path too much, but I got a little too close and got burnt a little too bad. I did the whole Icarus thing, right? I flew too close to the sun, and I don't want to do that again. And so I play it to hang out with friends. I play it to have fun with my friends and just have good conversations with my friends. But I don't play this game to anymore as like playing a game. To me, it's like you guys have said, it's a tech demo. It's a 13-year tech demo, or 10-year, however long you can play it. It's been that long of a tech demo, and I would like to see that change. Like Pagan said, have a multiple meetings of the minds, and what everybody is working on can coalesce and turn into something awesome, right? So hopefully we get to that point. But yeah, this whole item recovery thing, I don't think it's going to work as great as they think it will.
I was watching people earlier today in the general chat of Star Citizen talk about the PvE servers and the PvP servers. And if it ever got to a point where the game was stable enough that they no longer had to do a persistent test universe, just swap one of those over to a PvP server and the other one's a PvE server, or a PvPvE server and a PvE server. Okay. And just, all right, if you start your account up, whenever you go to start your account up, if you started off on the PvE server, your account will start bare bones if you try to start it up on the PvP server. If you're on hardcore. If you're on the PvP, yeah, like a hardcore kind of deal. If you're on the PvP server and you're just like, man, I'm tired of this. I don't want to fight people anymore. I do it every day. Just migrate your account over to the PvE server. You won't be able to come back to the PvP server, but you'll be able to just migrate over.
It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
Or separate accounts. Or even a separate account. So PLG on the PvP server.
Or different save states too. So
Yeah.
that,
You'd have to do
that way you
something
can
so people don't run back and forth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The PvP server is the one that you would be able to make the progress with, but the PvE can't come over to the PvP because it would be a lot easier to do some tasks in the PvE when you don't have other people that you're having to go. Is he going to shoot me? I don't know if he's going to shoot me. But it just kind of lets. But then you also have to take the PvP server and you have to make genuine goals that people want to progress to, that they don't want to go, man, I could just hang outside of a station here and just delete everybody.
Yeah. I agree with what a lot of you guys are saying in chat about how this item recovery thing was a weird decision. I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts, and I'll let Pagan and Raven do the same thing, and then we'll wrap this up if people don't have any questions. So my opinion is this: when I first heard about item recovery, my mind didn't go immediately to the FS9 I looted off of Ninetales guy. My mind did not go to the Singularity Orcs armor that I could buy from Area 18. It didn't go to the med gun that I could buy and stick on my leg, or the tractor beam that I could put on my back. It never went to any of that. It went to pledge items and subscriber flare. That's where my mind went. And when they started talking the way they did with all items being able to go through this, it just kind of didn't make me feel very confident in what they were doing with this item recovery. And I was also hoping that item recovery for pledge gear, what I had in my mind was you go to your kiosk, your item kiosk or wherever, and your pledge items are gone because Pagan killed me and stomped my head in and pulled my helmet off and took all my stuff. And I go back to my kiosk and I hit claim on my pledge stuff, right? There's a whole separate tab with all my pledge gear in it. And these pledge items are now black because Pagan stole them. And I hit claim on those. And 5 minutes later, 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, it doesn't matter, with a little fine, like, if I expedite it, I get a little, fine from it, and I get my stuff back. That's how I thought it was going to work. I did not think that I could pick up a gun off of some Ninetales NPC and run back to my stuff and go register, and now I get to keep it forever. So yeah, I hope they get this worked out, but I think we're going to be sitting for a very long time and going through several iterations of tier 0 before we even get to tier 1. That's just my opinion. Yeah. You guys got any final thoughts or opinions on the whole item recovery stuff?
I think they're going to roll it back at some point. I think there'll be a later iteration of tier 5, 6, where they'll be like, you know what, it's not worth the hassle. If it's something you pledged on the pledge store, it's now locked to you, and when you die, you can't be looted. In place of that, we're going to give you an ear. You get an ear of Pagan because you killed him, or you get his green Moby glass.
I would love the Moby glass thing. I really would.
That's where I think it will eventually go.
Yeah.
It locks your body onto a planet so that you have to go recover your gear, but it's locked to your body.
Like, to be honest with you, I think it's awesome when people wear their pledge stuff out and I get to see it. And if I was the lucky one that got to board their reclaimer and take them out in the hallway in a gunfight, and I take their stuff, I love having that stuff in my inventory, because then I could be like, hey, look at the stuff that I got from this guy that time we boarded that reclaimer. Even though it's less, right, having a Moby glass, right, and it's saying, on it, when I pick it up and look at it, it says, PLG's Moby glass, his character lived for X amount of days before I murdered him, or maybe because he's like, this is once again theory crafting big time, he's rep level 10 with cargo and mining guilds. Like maybe his mobiGlass has extra designs on the side of it, or it's right? Like it's a emerald encrusted mobiGlass because he's got tier 10 rep with these factions, right?
Oh.
And I'd have that, and I could be like, look at this guy I murked the other day over Crusader. Wasn't paying attention. I snuck on board, killed him, took his stuff. And yeah, I don't get his cool armor, but hey, I got this badass mobiGlass ring that, you know, gives me kind of like the whole TLDR on Pagan and who he was.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be cool.
I like that. I like the idea that it's the higher the rep, maybe like it's different, you know, it's festooned with different adornments. I love that idea.
I'd also like it if they made it so that the bodies were easier to find when they were on the ground.
Oh my god, yes.
Maybe even have like a mobiGlass, just a little light ping once you're in like maybe 50 meters or something. Like even on foot, you can see just like a small little icon being like, "Hey, there's a mobiGlass over here." That's giving off a signal.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be nice. Because who was it? Not too long ago, somebody died. I think it was TJ. TJ randomly exploded over Lyria, and me and Ferrets were looking for his body forever because he was trying to re-equip and was claiming his ship and all that. We were flying all over the place trying to find his body. We could not find it. And we flew over it. I'm not kidding. We probably flew over it 100 times. Never saw his body, never saw his ship, nothing until he goes, "Here, it's right here." And we're both like 3 kilometers away going, we flew over that spot a bunch of times before he came back. It would be so much easier if we could see the body like ping. And like you said, the mobiGlass gives off a signal of some sort. Yeah. I think that would be cool.
I'd like to see that on foot pinging. I'd like to be able to do that at some point.
Yeah, maybe
see it in a demo.
Maybe like the fresher the body, like you get like an infrared signature. Like if you ping, like if you're mining and you ping, the rock glows green. You get the night vision green glow, and a ship goes green glow. So maybe if you do like hey, I'm going to ping for bodies. I'm going to ping for, minables. I'm going to ping for bodies. Okay, so like anything that's a body, bright red. If it's a body that's been dead for like 30 minutes in game, now it's orange. If it's been dead for for 5 hours, it's yellow. Eventually, it's white or gray. So it's like the fresher the kill, the easier it is to find it.
Or even at like a red, it's like, hey, this body's about to be cleaned up by the server. So if there's anything that you want to go
check. That's true. But it has to be reliable where even if you die, it doesn't fall into the middle of the planet or go to 0x, 0y, 0z next to the Stanton sun. It needs to be nearest location where you can have access to it.
If there was a way to do it, I would love to bring all the salvagers and the loot goblins and go to the center of the sun in Hurston and just say, have at it, boys. Whatever you can get out of here with, just take it. Just take it.
We've done it.
Oh, have you?
Yes, it was great. I got pirated there.
Wait, you got pirated in the center of the sun?
Yes, I was an idiot. The guy who tells everyone never solo or reclaimo, I did it. And I opened all doors because I think Majestic was going to come into the reclaimer or something, and he died, and I forgot to close them. And somebody else had the genius idea. God bless you. You guys are awesome. You had a legit kill. Snuck on board the reclaimer, snuck all the way up to the turret where I was shooting ships because the power was on. Took me out. And got the reclaimer, got the salvage that was in the reclaimer, and salvaged what was there. So yeah, it was awesome. 10 out of 10 would definitely do it again.
You were in the center of the sun doing this?
000, buddy. There were ships everywhere. There were ships everywhere. Mole bags, prospector bags, guns. Everything was like right there at 000, just floating around in space.
That's awesome. That's really
the sun is the trash can of the universe.
Man, I wish I would have known you then. I wish I could have seen that. That would have been fantastic. That would be super cool. I would love to just go there and see what I could get out of that. Yeah. So what's that? I have not seen bodies at the sun anymore. Did they remove them? So isn't item cleanup pushed to like super aggressive right now. Like you can drop a body and turn your back on it for like half a minute, turn back around and it's gone kind of deal.
Dude, I've been walking through the contested zones in Pyro. It is not aggressive at all.
Really?
Just, I was walking through a vent and there was just like 6 bodies lined up through there. And I never saw a single one of them disappear. It was getting to the point where the bodies lining the vents were making it hard to get through the vent.
Okay. But yeah, so I mean, do you guys have anything else you guys want to add? Any questions from chat? I know we're YouTube is like 30 seconds a minute behind. So any questions before we go? Seriously, this is the last time to do it, because otherwise I'm going to tell these guys to have a good night. They're going to do their little outros for us, and then we're gonna end this. I'm sure other people I'm sure
think about something with the items.
People have things they'd like to do tonight before it gets too late.
The being able to, when you buy an item in the shop, you get your first little, item, goes into your inventory, pay $10 for it, and then subsequent items you would have to buy from the actual like kiosks, like in a regular store, but it opens up the option that you can buy that item in that kiosk in that design. So it makes it repurchasable for that person, so that it's not just an infinite, oh, hey, I can go claim. You actually have to pay, and it keeps the money loop going, at the very least. It would keep a money loop going. So it's like, man, I want 5 sets of my armor. It's like, okay, you can go buy it in the shop, but no free claim.
I'd walk around in gold armor all the time like that. I mean, well, not all the
Right.
time. I mean, if I had enough credits in game, yeah, you see me walk around with shiny gold armor all the time if I had like 50 sets of it.
Yeah, I think there's a variety of ways that they could do this far better than what they've outlined.
Right.
Maybe one day
really touch and go.
They'll look at something like this and go, "Hey, guys, we kind of messed this up. We kind of screwed this up big time." I mean,
I'm already doing that.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we can't. It's like Prometheus and the fire, right? We can't take the items back out of the pledge store, and we can't tell all the people that bought all that stuff, "Hey, sorry, we're going a different direction." I get that, but like, I think they really, really, really shot themselves in the foot by putting that stuff on the pledge store.
Well, they could. They did it with the Retaliator. Remember, there were 2 versions of the tally that you could buy.
Mm-hmm.
There was
Oh,
the
yeah.
base
They
Retaliator
shot
for
the foot big time
150.
with that one.
Yeah, and they called a lot of shit for it, but I mean, I think that would have gone over more if they'd better to like, hey, I think the TLDR on it was if you bought the Retaliator bomber, it was now Retaliator base, and you got the add-on modules account bound for free. And if you bought the Retaliator base, you still got the Retaliator base, and you had to buy the modules on for extra, kind of like the whole Endeavor thing. The Endeavor had like a combo package which had all the modules forever, and then they had like the bare bones Endeavor.
Right.
That's like,
Well, now you'll be able to
Right.
craft those modules and then register them.
I hope so, because they're freaking expensive.
Yeah.
Sorry.
$100.
So yeah. All right. Raven, once again, tell them where they can find you, and if you got like a little outro or anything, go ahead and.
I'm Perplexed Raven. You can find me occasionally on Twitch whenever I deem it fit to stream. That is not often. And I feel sorry for everyone that's subscribed to me ever.
Pagan, how about you, bud?
I also think Raven's a great place to go for content. I especially enjoy it when he watches the jump scare games. So even though he's been a backsliding bastard and not streamed forever, I highly recommend you go watch his VODs. I wish he'd put his VODs on YouTube, but yeah, I go recommend you check him out and ask him about his guinea pigs.
Oh, you have guinea pigs, huh?
Yes, I have 2.
I had guinea pigs too when I was younger. All right. You guys know this loser. I'm Scarred, and I also occasionally stream and make videos. You should not subscribe to me. You should go and check these guys out. These guys, yeah, it's hard to do this on the camera. These guys, go check them out. Yeah. So thanks for joining, everybody, and thank you to Pagan and Raven for taking time out of their day. Oh my God, taking time out of their day to talk with us and talk with me about item recovery and what's the good, what's the bad, and what's the really, really terrible about this. Guys, thank you so much. I will see you guys hopefully tomorrow, and if not, Wednesday for sure. You guys have a great one. So long. Thanks for all the fish, and we'll catch you guys later. Peace.